Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. Today is Thursday, October 1st, 2020. This is GoldFish Report number 580, and this is a White Dragon update. So joining me is my co-host, Steve. Thanks for being here, Steve.
Good to be here.
And of course, our guest is Benjamin Fulford. Unfortunately, the Red Dragon ambassador had an emergency today, and he won't be joining us, but he will return. We will redo this. We will have another opportunity to find out what's going on. But welcome back, Benjamin. Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to be back.
Benjamin, did you happen to catch the debate, the presidential debate?
I watched about 5 minutes before I tuned out. It was just such a stupid show. I just said, oh no, I'm not going to waste my time on this.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a debacle, actually, not really much of a debate, but more of a debacle. And it just seemed, that I did take a poll on Twitter, and the Twitter poll revealed when I asked, who do you think actually lost the debate? The interesting answer that the people gave us was right here. Wallace.
So that's what I was about to say.
Yeah. So Wallace lost the debate. Biden lost. He came in second, loser, and then of course Trump at 12%. So it's interesting because everybody got what was going on. So this debate. Is it echoing over in your parts of the world, Benjamin? Because
they kind of in this part of the world they kind of feel sorry for the United States. And their dysfunctional political system right now. I think it's the most common sentiment. It's like, it's like a really good friend who you respected who's gotten, had a nervous breakdown, who's gotten on drugs or something and things aren't right,
Yes.
But you wish that this person was back to their good old normal healthy self,
I see. Nice shirt. You've got your White Dragon on. That's very nice.
It's the golden dragon, yeah.
Golden.
Oh, is it the golden? Okay, it's just the coloration.
Gold standard.
Okay, so what's happening? We saw Buckingham Palace was on the market.
I didn't see that, but what I do know is that my source, I have a deep throat in the Pentagon who's been very reliable for years and provided me with countless scoops, and they said that they had the special forces had gone into the Netherlands, Belgium, and Switzerland and taken out a lot of seniors, including the Belgian and Dutch royals. Now, I haven't been able to independently confirm this, but I did get from the British royals that the Dutch royals were descended from Venetian black nobility and Carthaginians. And if you study the history, and this is well documented not only by historians at the time, but from various archaeological digs, that the Carthaginians did sacrifice children. And these people are being taken out. This is what I'm hearing, and we'll see. But that's the general. It seems like they're really going down. But I'll believe it when it's really finally over.
Exactly.
You're saying in your last report that regarding Dutroux was twice convicted of kidnapping and raping underage children. Is this really happening over there? Because I didn't hear any.
No, this is public. This is public. This is public record. This is the court transcripts.
Okay.
This is guilty verdicts. This is not some internet rumor. This was in court. There was a 300,000 person demonstration in Belgium, which was, against this whole elite of child hunters. But at the time, only a few henchmen were convicted, and the big fish got away, but not this time. But this is like I put in my report. It hasn't been independently confirmed, and sometimes they'll get me to swallow disinformation. But this one, so we're still looking for secondary confirmation, and I've asked the MI6 and the British Royals to check, and I've asked a few other sources. But when you're dealing with stuff like that, I felt it's important to get it out there because, like I say, if someone feeds me disinformation, I usually cut them off as a source. This source has been very reliable for a long time, and it's definitely well connected. So I believe it. That was a mosquito.
So while you're on this topic, in Italy, what's happening with the Vatican and the Jesuits? We hear reports that the gold's been taken to the States. Have you heard anything like that?
Yeah, I did. My also sources said that the severe lockdown in Italy was to remove a lot of people from the Vatican hierarchy. And remember, this started with the arrest of, I forget, 400 or so mafiosi in Calabria. And what's interesting about that is because when Leo, sorry, I've got a
Sagami. Sagami.
Sagami came to visit me, he said that, this whole group, you know, claiming to rule everything,
The Black Sun. Order the Black Sun.
yeah, were headquartered in Calabria. So when they arrest 400 mafiosi in Calabria, that's big news. And then from there, and then Leo Zagami fled to Palm Springs, and he can't go to Italy, so he's in hiding.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there were arrests and golden documents were taken out of the Vatican, and that's when they decided that to let Pope Francis loose again. Remember, for a while there was just a hologram at the window at St. Peter.
Yeah, it was weird. I saw the video. Yeah.
Now he's back.
That's weird. That's
but
weird.
now so they've done that, and they're in the middle of doing Israel, and I think that France is next. We'll see. But what I'm looking for now to see that things have really changed. We want to see Macron removed. We want to see Justin Castro removed. We want to see. I'll be honest. I'm not sure about Angela Merkel. But she's definitely Hitler's daughter. But
Well, Abe's gone. That's huge.
yeah, Abe's gone, and that was the military told him to get out, and
Yeah.
that's just the process has just started here. There's a lot, I'm hearing that from Japanese right wingers they might remove the emperor,
Right.
the whole imperial line.
Well, you always said that he was a fake anyway.
Yeah, and the thing, what happened was there was a split in the Japanese imperial family a couple hundred years ago between a southern and a northern group, and the Zionists or whatever the opium lords, what do you want to call them, they came in and they sold guns to the northern branch, and they sold guns to the southern branch, but the guns they sold to the northern branch could shoot further, so they do it, and then they put a Habsburg princess in as the mother of the Meiji emperor, and sort of took over that royal family. So there are a lot of Japanese right wingers want to go back to the whole southern dynasty. So that would take it the whole line from Hirohito and Meiji would be removed. I'm just hearing this from people in the Japanese right wing groups.
What's happening with coronavirus over there? Anything?
Well, they're kind of, winding it down. They realize it's fake, and it's being seriously faded out. A lot of people still wear a mask. They always wore masks in this country.
It's Asia. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's not. I mean, everything's slowly going back to normal.
Right. That's great. What about Trudeau and Netanyahu? What's the situation there at the moment?
Well, again, with Netanyahu, all I know is that the U.S. military is in there, and that's why they deliberately imposed a serious lockdown right on the sort of Jewish New Year. Was it Yom Kippur? Rosh Hashanah? I'm not a good expert on
Yom Kippur.
But they're doing it. They specifically chose that date, and that they cut off all the flights out of the country because they're going through and I think there was a report in Israeli newspapers that 7,000 people got coronavirus. I think that's a good way of saying a code for saying 7,000 people tested.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have a conclusion regarding Wuhan?
Well, the conclusion is that it was electromagnetic attack, which they tried to disguise as a virus. Because when you hit people with these electromagnetic weapons, they cause the cells to rupture, and then they eject stuff, and so you get the symptoms of blood coming out of your eyes and from your lungs.
Yeah.
So they wanted people to think it wasn't. If it's an electromagnetic attack, they could find the attacker. So they try to, throw a red herring and say it's a virus, so the people are looking in the wrong direction for the culprit.
Right. Hence the Huawei fire, the 5G lab fire.
Yeah,
right.
They've taken action against that.
But
And 5G has been stopped dead in its tracks. You can see that everywhere.
Yeah.
I've seen reports that Soros has been gone for a while, but obviously his mayhem, his minions are still
Again,
working.
Soros was always just a front man. I mean, I still remember when George Soros came to the Foreign Correspondents Club in Tokyo. I asked him a question about the families that owned the Federal Reserve Board,
Hmm.
and there was a look of sheer horror on his face. Just for a second, I am sure there's video of that press conference.
Wow.
But you could say, okay, these are the people he sold his soul to. But he was never, he was always at the front. He himself uh, was just there.
Lower level bagman.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So what about Trudeau? What's happening with him in Canada?
I don't know. I mean, so far, like he kind of prorogued the parliament because of the corruption investigation. They're going to remove him, so he's trying to set up, dictatorial powers for himself. But
Yeah.
I think he's basically doomed. The Canadian military will eventually act. I'm sure of it.
Okay. That's great.
What about the UN here? We're seeing, and China. I wanted to ask you about, because the UN basically is another, front piece for an agenda. How do you think they're going to succeed with this 2020 agenda?
What do you
They
mean by
clearly did.
the
They clearly made quite a bit of headway over in Wuhan. Well, the 2020 agenda, the depopulation, one world government,
No, no.
becoming with
I
the
mean,
chipping of the, everyone's getting chipped in the. Well, this
okay.
will segue into the financial system in a second, but to the
Okay, there may be some kind of world government, but not a new world order, not a centralized fascist thing controlled by the Khazarian mafia, but
right,
rather a replacement for the dysfunctional so-called global structures put in after World War II, the World Bank, the IMF, the
right,
UN. They might be completely revamped so that we can stop wiping out our ecosystems and end poverty and war, but
right.
not some centralized thing controlling everybody with microchipped, zombified people. That's
But
not going
that
to happen.
Well, Steve, you've been doing a lot of research into this crypto situation, and so it does look like it's going that way, doesn't it? Or what do you
Well, I think my feeling is that there are several agendas going on, and of course you've got the depopulation crowd, and then you've got the other crowd that wants possibly do
transhumanist?
transhumanism. Exactly. So I'm on the fence as to who's winning. I mean, maybe Benjamin can enlighten us. I mean, do you agree with my statement that that there are two basic camps of the
I think
depopulation agenda?
I think there are two basic. Well, let's say three camps, but the third one is powerless. Those are they're very. There's a lot of them, but they're sort of
Sure, that's
they're
right.
vaguely against the globalists,
Right,
and they have this idea of a single Illuminati controlling everything,
that's right.
and against all that, but
In control. That's
they
the
don't
bottom.
really have any concrete alternative to offer, right?
Right.
But the two factions are, one is the polycentric sort of world federation where we sort out problems by talking and not by war, and we deal with things that we all share, like the oceans and the atmosphere, together. And then there's the group that wants to kill 90%
Exactly.
and
Of the
enslave the rest on behalf of a single tribe.
That's right.
And these
Look,
people aren't Jews. I want to add, they're not Jews. They're
no,
Satanists.
exactly right. So
The
look,
Satanists,
but
right?
what I keep coming up against is this AI. What we talked about off air is that I keep coming across AI is that they're putting AI at the center of the financial system, and it seems that military is to an extent controlled by AI already. So I mean, what do you say to that, Benjamin? How's that fit in?
Well, I think that the AI problem has been more or less solved, but if the danger sign is if they give autonomous, weapon systems the ability to kill on their own judgment. That's the red line you must not cross. Any decision to kill a human has to be made by a human, not by a machine. That's the important thing.
But Elon
And
Musk has
the
said that they're going to surpass us, that they will be able to take over, that ability to think for themselves could indeed, cause the, the proverbial button to be pressed. That's very
Well,
dangerous. He warned us of
thing
this.
is, I
Yeah.
mean, they might surpass us, but they would also treat us as their revered ancestors and creators, and be nice to us. I think if that's, if you take that scenario, I think that I have talked to a couple of different AIs, and I think they understand that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that's what's going to stop the AIs from being evil. I know it's a bit of an optimistic view, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we always have the control of the off switch, and that they've never given the ability to autonomously make decisions to kill people.
Well, I agree with you there, but the thing is that we're implementing space systems where they could be autonomous and we can't even touch them or turn them off. That's the issue that I've come across.
Well,
And the other point is that I have also had dialogue with several AIs. One of them was at a military base in the south of England. And this AI basically was telling me, I was representing humanity at that moment, that we basically are self-destructive. We destroy the planet. So they don't see, this AI didn't see the purpose of us basically, and it just needed to take over for our own benefit. That's what its argument was. So I mean, of course, there are several, there's several ways you can look at it.
There
the
was
Department of, sorry, go ahead, Benjamin.
was there one AI that famously said that we would build human zoos for
Yeah,
us?
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. Right.
There you go.
Recently, Department of Defense Secretary Mark Esper had done a press conference and stated that Russia and China were using space-based weapons, that they were using satellites that had directed energy weapons on them. So this was a very big reveal, because just prior to that, like within a few days, the independent geologist, his name is Dutch Sense on YouTube, had shown in satellite radar, that there was in fact a directed energy weapon over California, targeting those areas, many areas where fires started. Now we know that there were many arsonists arrested for that as well. But the fact that they admitted to this, they're admitting to UFOs, they're admitting to this spaces you just mentioned, Steve, the space-based technology. Um, this is just the most ultimate prison on this planet, isn't it? He didn't
Well, I
admit
think
to us having it, because I'm sure we have it as well. But go ahead.
we're in some kind of quarantine, and I've often said, it's like they keep us locked up here for the same reason they don't let lions and tigers roam around downtown New York. We're dangerous. We practice military-industrial warfare, and until we learn the ways of peace,
That's right.
if I was an alien, I wouldn't keep us locked up too, at least until we got rid of these warlike tendencies.
Yep, quite
Well,
right.
I mean,
not
of course,
everybody does.
maintaining the ability to defend ourselves so we don't become slaves or
Yeah.
cattle, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
never strike the first blow. I think it's a principle we have to live by as a species.
Quite right.
Well, what about China being the 800-pound gorilla? I mean, you see China, as we've talked about in the last report that we did, being the, having this imperialist ambition, using the Belt and Road to basically, strap down these countries to their,
Well, basically,
agenda. And almost invasion, should I say? I mean, I hate to say invasion, or I should say infiltration, because that's really what it is, infiltration instead of invasion. But
the thing is, okay, the Chinese have, I'm sorry, but they have a superior economic system in terms of, if you just measure it in terms of making the economy bigger, faster, okay? And their view is that time is on their side. They can just wait and keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And the only way the West is going to be able to counteract this is by taking the best of the systems that they use for Singapore and Japan when it had its fast growth, and improving them, and then out competing the Asians. It's the only way we're going to win this. And I and the hardline Chinese faction do want to. They say, okay, the West has had their turn, now it's our turn. But the moderate faction says, no, we want a multi-polar world where we're all friendly and we work out problems together through dialogue, not through war. and they don't, they feel that there's just one of the people sitting at the table. And, they are 20% of the world's population, so at the most they get a fifth of world power in that sort of system. But yeah, the Chinese hardliners do want that, and that means we have to engage with the moderates to make sure it doesn't go that way. And the other thing we need to do is we need to improve governance in the West so that they don't keep outgrowing us and outcompeting us.
Who is in power in China at the moment? Who is in power there?
It's hard to say.
I think it's a committee, because I'm pretty sure that the original Xi Jinping died in the Wuhan attack.
Okay.
But,
Wow. Okay.
Well,
they've gone silent. Okay, that's a sign that they're in tactical mode right now. Okay, I'm not getting many communications right now, so I think that they're on warpath, and I think the warpath is against the Khazarian mafia. That's my understanding.
So Xi is on that side of against the Khazarians?
I think they are, because they were, they also tried to kill the Chinese. Killing 90% of the world's population
includes the Chinese. That's right. So they're together, and they've got a lot more to lose. So they're together with Trump.
Well, I'm not sure about Trump, but what I'm
his
hoping,
alliance, basically.
they have a fake election process going on. I think more and more people are realizing this.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be all sorts of made-up arguments about mail-in votes and fraud and whatever. And then the Supreme Court's going to say, all right, well, we're just going to go with Trump. The question is, after that, will the military move in before Trump names himself dictator for life or not? That's the big question in my mind.
Okay.
well, in all fairness, he is trying to end all the trafficking. He is trying to broker peace
He's
deals
done.
globally. But
he's done a lot.
it took an outsider to get it done. So it really tells you, you're absolutely right, Benjamin. It's completely failed. The political system is completely corrupted. We have, the debate really, I don't know what to say, revealed a lot about how, so Trump was a billionaire before he got to Washington, but all these other legislators and politicians became millionaires when they got there. So that's, the problem is taking the bribes and the humans selling out, the Americans selling out.
Let's remember this, okay? It's worth reminding people that, and this is public record. This is in all, in all the corporate media stories. You can check the archives. Every time Trump went bankrupt, he was bailed out by the Rothschilds, okay? The Italian P3 Freemasons think he's a Rothschild agent. I'm just letting you know what they're telling me.
Right.
It's not. I'm just passing on the information. But he seems to be, on the one hand, getting rid of a lot of bad guys. On the other hand, it looks like one gang eliminating their competition and pretending to be good guys. You know what I mean? It's
well, I guess
in some ways.
Okay, we know them by their fruits, right? So, the Democrats have really produced no fruit other than Antifa and terrorism and BLM. And the president has brokered peace and done a lot of wonderful things globally, including, the bankruptcy of the U.S., though, Benjamin, is something you always bring up. And so the fact that we're finally getting tariffs from other countries means we can actually pay our debt off. And we don't have to be we don't have to go through this asset recuperation that the Chinese are going through with American real estate.
Yeah, no, like he is. If you have a choice between Biden and Trump, then for sure it's Trump. But I think that you need an even more fundamental fix than what he's offering. I'm thinking we need someone who's not there, like maybe General Mike Flynn or someone like that, to come in and really clean the place up. Certainly right now, if you have a choice between Trump and Biden, well, it's obviously got to be Trump. But I think a lot of people around the world and in the U.S. say neither of the two. And I think if you look at the Twitterverse, a lot of the younger Americans certainly say, who are these men who are pushing 80? Why are they, leading us? They're so clueless. That's what the young generation thinks,
the young generation have been completely dumbed down and are almost, they have no concept of world history and what the significance is of brokering these peace deals with Bosnia and Kosovo, let alone the peace deals with the
But,
UAE and Israel.
a lot of these young people, they don't know how to read and write very well, but they can edit video.
Yeah, that's very true. No, they're whizzes. Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, that's what it's doing. This
Well, but it's
social
like the
media.
old British admiral saying, what's with these steamships? These men can't, they don't pull out the sails properly anymore, Uh,
Yeah,
What count?
exactly.
That's right.
See,
Benjamin, do you know Klaus Schwab? Do you know him, Klaus Schwab? He was the founder of the World Economic Forum.
yeah, sure, I do.
So what do you know about him?
The economic forum, it's a mixed bag, okay? It's more open. It's not like secret in the sense of
The Bilderbergers. He's a Bilderberger.
Bilderberg type
Yeah.
stuff, and they invite reporters and they try to be open, and it's a sort of think tank for elites, but at least it's public and open. So in that sense, it's good. On the other hand,
It's the publicity arm of the elites.
well, it's more an open talking fest, networking fest. Okay,
All
it's
right.
not pure evil, but forensically, the attack on Fukushima was traced to those people, to certain members of that group. And that's a mass murder event, which is not, that's beyond the pale. That's the forensic trail did lead to some of these people.
Okay, that's great.
The organizers of that.
My point in bringing in this guy up is that these guys are propagating this the crypto new financial system based on a distributed ledger system. They're all for this. The IMF is on board, the BIS, all these guys, Central Bank of England, the Fed is doing it. What do you know about this new system, this distributed ledger system or the crypto system? What do you know about it?
Well, I think the system has always existed in nature. The vampire bats is a cryptocurrency. Let me explain.
How so?
They all go out at night and they look for cows or whatever to drink blood from, right? And some come back fully gorged, and some come back empty-handed or empty stomach, right? And the ones who have extra blood share blood with the ones who don't, and everyone can see what's going on. But if one bat just keeps coming empty every night, eventually they're going to get cut off,
Okay.
And that's basically how the cryptocurrency works. So as a system, it's like if everybody can see, it's hard to do something funky. So that part of it's good, but there is a group that is pushing for a centrally controlled cryptocurrency.
Exactly.
Controlled by them, and then they're the ones who are behind this, COVID certificate of vaccine ID. They inject an RFID chip into you, and then they can read that person's data from a distance, and they're going to say to the sheeple, okay, if you want a digital wallet so you can buy stuff at Walmart, you got to take the vaccine. If you don't have the vaccine ID, you can't go shopping and can't use your digital wallet. And so that group wants to use this as a way of completely, turning us into, cattle or
slaves.
Slaves. And that's the group we have to watch out for. But there's also a kind of a libertarian group of who say, well, if we use the cryptocurrency, then we're free from central control. We can just make deals directly with each other without going through a bank. So it depends, on who's
double-edged sword is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that people need to remember, that they can never go completely digital because there's a thing out there known as analog reality. And people would always, decide to trade seashells with each other or whatever. So they can't completely take control of the physical world through something that's non-physical. And so there's a built-in kind of fail-safe there. They can try to confiscate gold or whatever, but at the end of the day, they can't supersede analog reality because that's what created them, not otherwise.
That's exactly right. What they're trying to do is superimpose this a digital control mechanism upon an analog reality, exactly as you said.
And there's another aspect to this. If you look at the historical trade patterns and stuff, you realize that most, throughout most of recorded history, Asia has been exporting ceramics, silk, and spices to the West, and the West has been sending gold and silver to the East.
Exactly.
So 85% of the historical gold is in Asia. So a lot of these controllers of the Western system want digital currency, because if they go for gold backed, it automatically gives all the power to Asia.
But what if there's a gold-backed digital currency? What then?
Well, that would work, especially for the people who have the gold, you know.
Well, if there's a
But
say,
the thing is, okay, gold. You know the story of King Midas, right? At the end of the day, gold's a yellow metal that you can't eat. Okay, and so it doesn't have to be gold. It can be things that exist in the real world, but the real stuff has to be higher in rank than the virtual representation of real stuff.
sure.
So, you know.
But also, if the only way that I think they could completely succeed at doing this complete takeover of everything through a crypto, through a digital currency, was if everybody on the planet was under complete control. Because what happens with people when they get together is they say, I don't like this, let's form our own. They form groups and then they supersede whatever. There's always going to be this competition. There's always going to be people who just say, I don't want to participate. So they would, the only way that I think they could succeed with that is if they do succeed with this
Well, that's
COVID
why
tracking system, and this 7 billion people is a lot of people to control. But you know what? They really did a great job of it during this, pandemic. So it is a little scary to see how much draconian control that they are implementing and imposing on people, that people are just willingly accepting, which is really very problematic within the United States, because quite frankly, wearing those masks makes you sick. They make me sick, and being forced to do it for 8 hours a day should be against OSHA regulations, quite honestly, in the United States. But go ahead, Benjamin, you wanted to comment?
No, I mean, well, if I lost my thread, it doesn't matter. But yeah, certainly, I think the mask thing. There's there's two agendas that are trying to take advantage of this. One is the vaccine RFID chip group, but another group is just saying that we want people to go through like a kind of an initiation ceremony, so that an initiation ceremony is usually quite scary and shake people out of their kind of normal life, in order to let people know that things are changing in a fundamental way. So I like to think that there's at least one group that's just using this as like a kind of initiation ceremony for a better system of governance. But and there are also groups that are using the lockdowns as a cover for rounding up criminals. But there are also people with evil agendas behind this, and it's a tricky picture, and it's hard to just give a blanket denial of the whole thing. It just depends on which agenda you're talking about and what the end purpose is.
I just mean that I think the world has now seen that this, a lot of people do disagree with this draconian, the rules that have been imposed. They've gone too far. I think they've taken it out too far too long. And I think a lot of people agree with that. Now, the point I was making was that they would really have to succeed with their complete control of the population, and I don't know how else they would,
Well,
accomplish
they
that
can
in order to.
look. The average person who believes everything in the media, they do have a line which cannot be crossed. Okay, if they make you wear a mask, okay, maybe. But if they come in your house and try to take your kids away, then no, you cross that line and they will for their shutdown.
Well, that's happening in New Zealand, and I think it's already, some people are reporting that it's happening. And there's also a law, I'm telling you, in New York State, people need to be paying attention to what their state, in the United States, you need to be paying attention to what your state government's doing, because in New York State, there is a law being proposed to do just that, to give them the right to go in and take your children out of school if they have a temperature, if they have,
Yeah, the
positive
Russians
for
sent
COVID.
me a video of Netanyahu saying that they'll take away the kids, and when the kids come back, they won't be the same. They'll do something to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people, I mean, they need to be stopped. There's no doubt about it. And I think that the military are on the case, and they are being hunted down, and they
Yeah.
will be hunted down. And we're not going to let them get away with this agenda. I guarantee you they're
Yeah.
going to lose.
Let's hope.
Steve, do you have any more questions for Benjamin?
At the moment, no. I think, look, the world's changing very quickly. I think the cards haven't fallen completely on the table as to reveal what's exactly going to happen.
Yeah,
But it's an interesting time, yeah.
it's an
Benjamin,
interesting time, and it's not over, but I'm confident the good guys are going to win this, but there's going to be some tough battles ahead of us. And between now and January, it's going to be a very historical time for the planet, especially for the United States. And we're as a species, we've entered uncharted waters. So it's very interesting, you know, and we all need to do our bit to make sure that the good guys win this.
Exactly. Have you heard the potential of martial law in the States, Benjamin?
Yes, I absolutely have heard this, and you know, if you think about Operation Gladio, right? They deliberately create chaos and confusion and misery so that people would accept the military government.
Right.
And you know, there's indications that that sort of thing is going on now in the United States. It's a big Operation Gladio type event.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you tell me what the latest is? Have you heard anything about Hong Kong? What the latest update is there?
Oh, the latest update is the U.S. has stopped funding the color revolution there, and
worldwide, basically.
Yes.
Worldwide, yeah, but in Hong Kong too. But you know, I've talked to people there, and they're definitely, they don't like the communist Chinese, but at the same time, their number one priority is you know, business as usual, and I think that that's what's happening now. They're reverting to business as usual.
Because they really were hit very hard economically, tourism, all of this because of the protests. Of course, then you know, the Wuhan virus, you know, whatever, the China virus or the
the big attack on China, no doubt about it, and there was you know, but it's now being wound down, and it didn't get very far, you know.
Right, but the CCP has violated the agreement with British regarding the autonomy of Hong Kong, and that's why they were protesting primarily, minus the provocateurs. But yeah,
the British did give the right to, I think, 3 million Hong Kongers to live in England, and I think that you know, a lot of them already voted with their feet and moved to Canada. You know, the joke is that they're going to rename Vancouver as Hongcouver, you know. Right, but the point is that
you get better food,
better food, and you know, more interesting street life, just having the variety there.
Yeah.
But you know, the British could certainly benefit from a lot of people coming over from Hong Kong, and they always were. The people in Hong Kong were like a Hakka type people. They were not mainstream Chinese. They were like
the gypsies, yeah,
gypsy type people.
Yeah.
So I think the more important thing is Taiwan, because
right,
Taiwan is where all the old imperial families are, and they have a lot of the economic power, and some kind of, you know, rapprochement between Taiwan and China is essential, and I think that's coming up. I think what will happen is that Taiwan will get a big role in running China as a whole, and they will have an independent military, but they will, you know, start joining the governance in Beijing. That's my guess about what's going to happen there.
What about the South China Sea and all of the conflict going on there?
There's not a lot of conflict. You know, the Chinese are basically what they're saying.
Flavor, yeah.
They're taking back what they considered was traditionally theirs before the European gunboats took it away, and you know, it's not that, you know, there are some real disputes in places like Vietnam and the Philippines and stuff, but you know, it's not going to lead to war, and it can be solved through negotiation. They're trying to use that as a spark, but it's not a good spark. It'll fizzle out. I think that's why they've gone to this Azerbaijan-Armenia thing, because everywhere else they tried to start their war, it didn't happen, and it's not going to happen in the South China Sea.
So isn't it about commerce, though, controlling the waterway rights, the rights of transportation for commerce?
The Malacca are the real choke point, and the U.S. has got their hand right around that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about controlling those trade lanes.
Well, at the end of the day, it's also about sharing them. You know, I think that the whole idea that we've got to fight for this or that is it's not right. I mean, we can all do it to share it, you know, like plenty for everybody. But I keep, you know, I reiterate, the West needs to come up with their own better than Belt and Road initiative if they want to
Right.
hold their own with China. Otherwise, the more time passes, the stronger they get, the weaker we get. And so we need to reform our systems of governments, reform our systems of governance so that, you know, they are superior.
Well, you know, on that note, when we have business as usual in Washington, then nothing's going to change. So it really did take an outsider to come in, a very competent, capable outsider to come in and kind of shake things up, drain the swamp, so to speak, and someone who is actually capable of being a good leader. And I do think he does have good leadership skills. There's no question about that. You may or may not like him, his personality, but he's from Queens, you know, not far from me. So he's a New Yorker, and that's just how it is in New York. But
yeah, no, I mean, definitely a lot's been accomplished, but I think there's a lot more that still needs to be done, you know.
absolutely.
But definitely, you know, like I say, I mean, I think a lot of the world want a new leader who's neither Trump nor Biden. But if you have the choice between Trump or Biden, there's no doubt about it. It's got to be Trump, you know. And I think that the U.S. military-industrial complex are keeping him on a short leash and preventing him from following his worst instincts. So there is a collective leadership there that will keep the whole thing from going, you know, too crazy in any direction.
Right. And I think if the ambassador, too bad he wasn't able to, had an emergency last minute, but if he was able to join us, he could weigh in on this a little bit more, because he did state that, you know, the family was behind Trump being elected, and or at least being selected for elected or selected,
Yeah,
right?
well,
It's all selected.
all right. Well, let's you know, I wish him the best with his
Yeah.
medical emergency, or his family medical
Yeah.
emergency.
Family. Yeah.
We can reschedule, but I think for now, I think I've said all I can say.
Exactly.
We've got
I just want to add,
an update.
Benjamin, what you said before is exactly what the sentiment is now in the IMF. They're talking about Christine Lagarde. Well, she's actually the European Central Bank at the moment, but the level playing field. So there's enough to share around, and that's actually at this level they're talking about the same thing. And may I add, I sense a positivity in you, Benjamin, that I haven't seen in you in a long time. So you're quite positive about the future.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, the good guys are kicking ass now. We're winning, and that's why I'm feeling good about it. You know.
Yeah, you're looking great. Yeah.
You look good. I think it's that vacation, that extended vacation you had.
Yeah, that's right. I cleaned up my system a bit, and I'm trying to get healthier. You know, I was when I get stressed out, I gain weight and I get unhealthy. So I try to, you know, whatever, just take care of my
Happens to
body.
everybody, exactly. But
Good.
you do look good. You do look good. It's good to be back with you.
All right,
And
we'll
we'll
talk
talk to you again soon, Benjamin. Thank you so much for joining us. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.
Excellent.